Hey guys, before we begin the podcast today, I do want to start off with just saying this episode was not recorded to be a podcast. It was originally recorded to be an actual unscripted. Um, and I didn't want to re-record it mostly because I don't have the movie still. I rented it for a couple days digitally, and I don't remember what happened. So I'm going to edit the audio a little bit to make it seem more podcasty, but if it sounds a bit weird at times, it's because it was meant to be an animatic video. Um, Before I, kind of scrapped all those. But anyway, this is the Unscripted podcast for Strike, and I hope you enjoy. Strike is a 2018 animated film from the United Kingdom, maybe France. There's not a whole lot of information about this movie. About a soccer playing mole. Never heard of it? I hadn't either. It's a pretty generic film that we were able to predict 10 minutes in the movie. I don't have a whole lot of information on this film, other than it was made out of literal garbage. Anyways, without further ado, whatever ado is, I present Strike Unscripted. Strike is a film about Mungo the Mole, who was a mole born into a society of miners. But he really wants to become a football player. After his dad is murdered, he must win the World Cup, and also avenge his father, and also strike gold in the mine. Of course, one mole can't do all of this alone, so he needs the help of his friends, Hetty the Badger, Ryan the Mole, and Maggie the Rabbit. He defeats his father's killer, wins the World Cup, and saves his town by striking gold, all while setting up a sequel. Sounds like a heartwarming family film, doesn't it? Well, let's see what Jack and I thought about it in initial thoughts.
We're watching Strike. I don't know anything about this again. Kyle over here said, "Hey, we're gonna watch Strike," and I said, "Sure," or I said, "Okay," or one of those one-word answers. And yeah, I have no expectations for this. I just hoping it's good, and that's really all about it.
Okay. Um, Strike. I actually found this movie looking for bad movies on Google Play, just scrolling through and seeing what's there that we could watch on the show eventually. And I found this early on, and I went, that looks bad. So I clicked on it, and it has an 83% Rotten Tomatoes or something like that. So I went, we might as well give it a shot. And after watching Artemis Fowl, Jack and I kind of agreed that we want to do a good movie, at least one. So I don't really know what to expect. I did watch the trailer for this. Jack hasn't. It didn't look like an 83% to me, but we'll see. I'm hoping it's good, but I don't have too high of expectations. Well, I guess we had no idea what we were about to witness. This film is a bit of a train wreck, and I don't mean that in a good way. Nobody ever means that in a good way, I guess. Not saying this movie is terrible, but it's not good either. How do I say this? Strike has some fundamental problems that drag this movie down. And even though I did enjoy it at the time, I can say now it was very underwhelming. The big issue with this movie, as in Alpha and Omega 2, I don't know the villain's motivation. So the plot kind of just happens. Obviously, if you have seen this movie, which you haven't, you will know that the boss, who's the villain in this movie, wants Mungo's father killed. And this is probably so they don't strike gold and he can buy their mine. And that I do understand. But there is a second motivation that the boss has. And the boss wants Germany to win the World Cup. Why? It's unclear. Is he German? Possibly. Is he anti-Europe British? Also a possibility. I'm not exactly sure why he's so persistent on Germany winning this World Cup, but he is so intent on this happening that he literally kidnaps Mungo's friends and mother, and forces him to leave the World Cup game just so uh, the German team wins. So he's pretty invested in this. And it's just never explained why. We're never given a reason to why we should care about this part of the movie. Because once Mongo's dad dies, we don't really have anything keeping us interested or invested. And this can literally be epitomated by me falling asleep during the film. So, with all that part aside, obviously it's a huge issue and we should talk about this more, but I cover a lot of why this is a big issue in my Alpha and Omega video. But I mean, it's all the same reasons. It's the plot doesn't really have a reason to continue, and just sort of continues. But before I get into some of my other problems, I do want to talk about some of the things I did like about this movie. The humor, it was pretty funny consistently. Obviously, not every joke landed, but I did find myself chuckling through a lot of this film. And the animation is wonderful. I talk about how it was made out of trash, and I believe the website says it was made out of like 65% recycled materials or whatever. But I mean, great job. The characters look great. The sets look pretty well made, and that part was really good. And I mean, I certainly couldn't have done it. So, way to go there. But obviously, I have more than one problem with this movie. For starters, there's too much going on. Between Mungo trying to win the World Cup and learn how to use his mole superpowers, which, by the way, he has mole superpowers. So, yeah, jot that down. And also trying to strike gold in the family mine, and also trying to, stop the boss from killing his mom, and trying to avenge his dad. It's just too many plot threads, and that's part of the reason you're not invested is because there's too many stories happening that they couldn't have possibly written a satisfying answer to why the one villain wants all of this done. And that is a big reason why this movie falls apart, I think. I think if they would have stuck to just Mungo has to win the World Cup to save his town, I think that would have been fine in and of itself, and I don't think we would have needed a whole extra subplot about his dad dying. Also, it's predictable. I believe both of us, me and Jack, who watched this film together, were able to guess the entirety of the film within the first 10 minutes. And I mean, that's not saying a whole lot for Jack, because he's pretty good at that. But I was able to do it. I was able to guess the plot from the trailer. There was nothing new or really original about this plot, this story. I feel like I've seen it a million times. And just, it didn't captivate like I think they were hoping it would. And it was, frankly, uninteresting. I mean, sure, I laughed at times, and I'm not going to say at all parts of this movie I was bored, but it's packed in so much where you do check out at a certain point, and you stop caring. So, I mean, that's all I really have to say. I don't have a lot to say about this movie because, well, I'm trying to shorten the series, but also it just is a kid's movie. It's basic, very skeleton of a movie. There's not really a whole lot of interesting or original things here. This movie kind of just fails on a few fundamental aspects, and the rest of it was actually okay. It just made one mistake and it couldn't save itself. So, I guess now we go to ranking podium. But before we do that, here are our initial thoughts directly after seeing this movie. So, here's initial thoughts, part 2.
It is recording.
So, how do I... It wasn't a bad movie. It wasn't fantastic. I fell asleep. But, I mean, A, there's outside factors to that, and B, it was definitely more of a children that... I think if you showed that to a bunch of, like, 7-year-olds, they'd love it.
Not even.
I think 7. I think 7. I think, like, 10, even. It's kind of generic, though. Like, it's generic, and, I mean, I don't know. I have some issues with it, but I think overall, like, a lot of the jokes are funny. Not, like, hilarious, but, like, they got a chuckle or two. And...
Can you demonstrate?
I don't know. I think that's all I really want to say here. But, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I had no Oh, thank you. Here, hold on. I had no expectation for this movie whatsoever. I didn't even know what this movie was, or that it was animated in that style, like the stop motion. Mm-hmm. So I had no idea. No idea what it was about, and like you said, if this was when you show it to kids, I pretty much would say preschool is about as good as you're gonna get. They'll find it enjoyable, but you're right, some of it was, but it's because of we're older, so even if there's nothing there, we can make it for us.
Well, there's some adult jokes too.
Yeah, but even then, it was just like grasping at something that probably wasn't there, shouldn't have been there, but yeah, it was interesting, I guess. Like there was some ideas, I guess you could say, were thrown out there, but everything's basic, everything's predictable. But overall, I would say never again. I probably wouldn't watch this. I don't enjoy it.
So, you didn't watch Scuba or Alpha and Omega 2, but you have seen Artemis Fowl with me.
Yes.
If real quick, you get to rank these.
Ooh.
Where do you put this?
This one was a bit funnier, so this one's better than Artemis Fowl.
Okay.
But they're almost on the same level.
Really?
Almost.
Dang. Well,
yeah. I felt like I was watching like Veggie Tales right now, in terms of like that type thing. Like something that's not made for you, obviously isn't for you, but I'm forced to sit and watch this anyway.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, I can't say I agree with Jack on that point. I can say that this movie wasn't what I was hoping it was going to be. So here's review podium, I guess. Our first category for strike is clever idea. And where this movie might not have had the most original story or original tropes or animation style, it was definitely a clever idea. Having a mole play soccer and this whole mining town, I thought was not necessarily the most original idea, but it was an interesting concept. And I think if they would have focused more on Mungo having this extra ability to see things that you can't usually see, or just focused on him, using that to win the World Cup, I think that would have been an interesting movie within it of itself. But I think when you add on all these extra, I gotta follow my dreams and I gotta defy expectations of my family's linear cycle, it made it a bit more generic than what it could have been, and honestly what I think it should have been. I think it should have been a bit more creative and clever with its execution. So clever idea is going to get a 2 out of 5. Yeah. Our second category is going to be humor, and once again, I did say this movie was pretty funny at times. Obviously, not every joke's going to land, and obviously, I don't think most of these jokes cracked anyone up, but I I chuckled at a lot of the jokes and I was smiling through the rest of them. So humor's going to get a 3 out of 5. It's not great, but it wasn't bad by any means. Entertainment. This movie's going to get a 2 out of 5 because even though I do complain a lot about being uninterested and boring and bored by this movie, you factor in A, it is a kids movie, and I think any child would have at least been entertained by that movie. I think they would have liked that movie. And also, I mean, even even Jack, who said it was the worst movie, or no, he said it was better than Artemis Fowl, like enjoyed parts of it. So for entertainment, Strike is going to get a 2 out of 5. And finally, our final category of the show is new story. And for this category, Strike is going to get a -1 star, because this story, even though it seems like it should be something new, something original, was so generic that I felt like I couldn't just give it 0. So I'm actually subtracting a point away from Strike here, which gives us a total of 6 stars, which leaves this movie tied with Scoob as my favorite movie on the show. No, that can't be right. This is supposed to be the good movie. This is supposed to be the movie we watched that was good, and I didn't hate, and it 6 out of 15 possible stars. I thought we were. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more, we do comics at Access Comics on Twitter and Instagram, and at Access Comics Official on DeviantArt. They're free. At least you won't pay $4 and be disappointed if you go check us out. So go check us out. We also post videos every Thursday, and we do game videos every day. So go check them out. Don't go check out this movie. And I will see you next time. Thank you. Goodbye.